This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 387, The Niche Secret.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Welcome back to the program. It's Jason Linett, and this week, a bit of a solo episode speaking directly to the nature of your hypnotic business. That one of the biggest things that people often run into is this kind of a block, this barrier that often we present for ourselves that people often believe I have to do things this one specific way, and if I don't, then I'm doing it wrong. And I share this because whether it's the hypnotist I interact with inside of this Work Smart Hypnosis world, whether it's even people in other industries over on the influence brand that we run, it's that so often people get stuck on this concept that I have to pick a niche, I have to pick a niche, I have to pick a very specific specialty, and if I don't, then I'm doing it wrong. The purpose of this week is to help you to break down that concept, to help you to see the situation in an entirely different light, and help you to build that momentum to get up and running even faster. For more like this, I encourage you to head over to hypnoticbusinesssystems.com. This is the all-access pass to my hypnosis business training library. The backstory behind this program is that it used to be tell you what to do, then it morphed into show you how to do it. And then over time, we just made it better and better because now it also includes several do it for you kind of mechanisms. What I mean by that is that as I closed down the Virginia hypnosis business because we moved to Florida, I was able to take some of the best performing marketing campaigns that helped that business thrive for more than a dozen years, each and every year at a six-figure income, strictly from clients alone, and just give you the business action plans. There are products that you can create and slap your name on it using the stuff that I've already proven to be effective. There are email marketing campaigns. You get my full permission to slap your name on and use them as your own. And yes, this is meant to give you the fish, but also teach you how to fish along the way so that you also see how to modify them and make them your own. The number one thing that built my hypnosis business was online video, and we even give you the exact scripts, the exact transcripts of what to say and when to say it, and again, how to modify it and make it your own. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Guessing sucks. Use what actually has been proven to work and help your clients even faster. Check that out at hypnoticbusinesssystems.com. And with that, let's dive directly into this week's episode. Here we go. Session number 387, The Niche Secret. All right, so let's kick this off right with the mindset shift that nearly every single one of you probably needs. Everyone that you and I both know inside of this hypnosis industry, myself included, the people who you would know who are known for one specific thing that they do exceptionally well. Nearly every single one of them also sees clients for other issues. All right, there we go. This has been episode number 387. Thanks for subscribing and sharing this. Okay, let's keep going here. Let me explain that. When you really break down this sort of specialty angle, first of all, here's the one thing that every single one of you needs to hear. Every single one of us has a right to run our hypnosis businesses the ways that we choose. It's one of the strengths of the fact that there isn't a standard protocol, a standard set of procedures that we absolutely have to do. And if you don't do it this way, we're going to show up at your house with pitchforks and torches and kick you out. No, not the case at all. So it's one of the strengths. It also sometimes is one of the weaknesses that, there's not a standard thing, and get 100 of us together and ask us all to define exactly what is hypnosis, and you suddenly get 100 different descriptions. It's where even, oh man, as you go back to earlier episodes of this Work Smart Hypnosis series, we all reserve the right to do something for 8 years and come up with different opinions. where you find older recordings of me and I am quoting the things that I was previously taught and led to believe are the absolute gospel. This is the dogma of hypnosis. It's the bypassing of the critical faculties of the mind. It's the establishment of selective thinking and somnambulism. And the best I can say now is maybe, perhaps, that makes sense. By sort of playing with those definitions, we can agree on those concepts. I would actually say nowadays, because so much of the hypnosis process, and especially as I've kind of branched out into other areas of study, we've all always said that the hypnotic process begins the moment the client is even aware of the fact that you exist. So why should we be defining hypnosis only as what happens once the client closes their eyes? To which these days I would say that hypnosis is a process of mutual positive psychological influence in which hypnotic phenomenon may be used to ratify a change. And change occurs either by repetition or intensity, or in a best case scenario, a little bit of both. And we can kind of combine these two ideas. And yes, this may sound like a little bit of a diversion off topic, yet it's part of why in recent years, I kind of refocused on the categories that I work on. That I mostly see people now for business confidence related issues, which often then lends itself to a dash of consulting and coaching, specifically in the marketing message and how they can now no longer be that invisible person to the people that they know they can help. Yet it also comes around to what's that emotional story that has been holding them back. That is a specific audience that I found. Yes, there was an emotional block, but at the end of the day, they also needed some tactics. You can help the opera singer feel more confident on stage in her performance, yet her skill to actually caress those notes, if you've heard me tell that story before. Oh man, go back. If you've heard me tell that story, it's that the skill of actually being able to hit the notes or caress the notes, as one of them corrected me, comes back to their actual skill. I can help the business owner feel incredible confidence in front of the camera talking about their product, their service. And yet it turns out there's a specific sequencing of the message and a specific way to actually present the offer so that it actually sticks in the mind of the audience. So that's an audience that I found over the years that, well, I'm a part of. And that's where the biggest passion was. And it was because something was missing. And as much as I talk about that, the other thing that I predominantly work on still to this day is stop smoking hypnosis, because it's fun. And yes, it's now become a bit of a blend of what I've done for the past, really at this point, 14 or 15 years for that category. I previously was working in backstage production management as a theater person. And I forgot about this for a while, that my first couple of clients helping them to quit smoking, get this, were actors and singers and dancers, people who were smoking to stay thin. So nowadays, someone says, yeah, I want to quit smoking, but I don't want to gain weight. I'm like, let me tell you how I got started with this. And the eyes go wide and they go, I get it. Let's do this. Part of the reason I love that is because I think, yes, lasting change is always the goal here. And yet there's just this beautiful instant gratification process. Those of you that may have joined me this week at the Hypnotic Peak Performance event that I just did, which you can still get access to with the replays. By the time this episode launches, we still have one more day of the event, and there's going to be a bonus Q&A that's going to happen. Either way, everyone who signed up for that event, you're all getting lifetime access to the replays and the resources, worksmarthypnosis.com/peak, P-E-A-K, which you're going to see a lot of the techniques that I personally use to work with these two categories, including the very rarely talked about Willy Wonka transition, which, if that doesn't make you drop $27 on a really, high quality training event, I don't know what will. So I share this because these are my passions at the time of this recording. Do you like how I gave that as a prepositional phrase at the end of that? Was that the right grammatical structure? Those are the things that I'm the most passionate about. And yet, here's the professional baseball player who recently reached out to me. Here's the guy who's biting his nails who reached out to me. Here's the woman who grinds her teeth at night who reached out to me. And because I could find a way to build up the same passion that I have in these other categories to help them out. It's where some of them I chose to work with and some of them I may have actually referred elsewhere. So as we really put this into the category of the niche, I share what my passions are here, not to say, hey, everybody, here's what's trending. Do these things right now. Though perhaps instead, I share them because follow your passion. Follow those things that you are excited about. And if we really had to break this down into a strategy here, what I would say is niching is actually a marketing strategy. It's either a startup strategy or it is an expansion strategy. I'll leave the name out of this. Yet I had someone who I worked with privately. He'd been listening to the podcast and he reached out and he goes, I want to do private consulting. And we set something up. And it was a very specific category of teenage musicians that he wanted to work with. And again, you've been listening to this podcast, perhaps, the wonders of online marketing. If you had a product for people in Phoenix, Arizona who liked peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I could show you how to get your message in front of those people in the next 30 minutes. It has never been easier to target an audience. However, there isn't really a mechanism to target basically children. You can target the parents, and even with that, it's a bit of guessing. And I had to say to him, okay, you're brand new at this and leaving out the personal details. His business had to work. He had to be profitable given some current life situations. And he was living in a rather populated area. And I said, hey, weight loss hypnosis? How about we get you started with that? And with him, it was specifically, hey, go to learnvirtualgastricband.com. And we kind of just modified the rest of our arrangement for consulting to go, okay, let's just add this into your, agreement with me. And let's get you out there profitable and helping people with weight loss hypnosis to basically play with the house's money and figure out the mechanisms of how do you now get in front of these parents who have teenage children in this very specific category of music performance. Do you see how we started with something that would absolutely work, something that people would absolutely respond to, and then made that the hook to actually then bring people into his world, which eventually he now sees people who want to work on that specific issue. He has the systems dialed in now, thanks to what we work together on, so that the parents discover he's there, and now it's the word of mouth because he's been doing it for quite some time. So notice that as we talk about niching down, it's a bit more of a marketing strategy. It's a bit more of a business principle because you are met with a higher regard when you are known for that one thing. And again, this is not specific to any one person that you and I both might know. The people that you and I know who are known for that one specific thing, well, part of the reason is because it was easier to ride a wave of popularity because they were known for that one specific thing. Meanwhile, someone calls them up and maybe they're known for hypnodontics, working with dental work, which is, I referred the teeth grinding person out. And they may be known for that, yet at the same time, she's now successful with him. And then you're already connecting the dots who I referred to. Then they're connecting the dots and successful with him. And then it turns into, hey, could you also help me with this other thing? Hey, my partner smokes. And it doesn't turn into, oh, no, wait, that's not me. That can be that person. So I share this because do not let this niching category thing be a block. And those of you who have followed the work that I've done over the years, I came originally from stage hypnosis. I came originally from doing programs at high schools. And because of that, I assumed early on, I'm going to be the guy who works with kids and teenagers. You know what? They respond so much quicker than adults. There's less baggage to have to sort through. And if we can resolve many of these issues that kids and teenagers run into, they have a greater chance of not having them become major issues as adults. And respectfully or disrespectfully, now that I have my own children, I don't really have much interest in seeing yours. And I will also say that I can openly say, as politely as I can, that as my business expanded and now seeing hypnosis clients is clearly not the only thing that I do, it did become a moment that, as I've said for years, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it the rest of your life. There's certain categories that I have phased out. And it's not to say that I don't think I can help with them. It's not to say you should not work with these things. Yet, basically, because there's a larger juggling of things in my world, if it's something that requires a doctor referral, I'm going to send you to somebody else. Just because we do not have the bandwidth to support that the way that I did previously when seeing clients was the only thing that I did. If it's working with kids and teenagers, most often that's going to be something that now I refer out because the amount of support that I would give to the parents, we just don't have the bandwidth to do so much anymore. And again, this is no statement to say you should do or you should not do these things. Instead, it's to say that every single one of you has the right to run your hypnosis practice, your hypnosis business, your hypnotherapy thing that you run exactly the way that you choose. So here's an assignment that I'll give you. Let's turn this into a bit of an action step. And I had to play with this idea this past week. We just ran again that we're in the midst of, as this episode releases, the Hypnotic Peak Performance event, which is technically it's a challenge, but it didn't make sense to call it a challenge. So we made up the term Power Week. Words are fun, right? And it's to take this bit of time here and jot down a list of 2 categories. Category number 1, what are the things that you are the most passionate about? What are those groups of people that absolutely need what you do? And what are also those groups that you have immediate access to? Do you see how these are 2 different columns? What's that group of people that you are the most passionate to help? And what are the communities that you perhaps already have access to? And my best recommendation to you is find the ones that align. Find the connections from one to the other. You might be a parent of 2 or 3 children and you're already involved with the PTA of your kid's school. And that might lead into what can I do with kids and teenagers? Or you might say to yourself, and do not take this as a suggestion, you might say to yourself, well, I don't want to be working with the kids of the kids that my kids are going to school with. Did you see that roundabout way of saying that? But look around. Who are the parents of that PTA group? And it's where the most powerful question you could ever ask is, who do you know? Because there might be some rather specific connections that are there that you might not have thought of. So I'm always looking in everything that I do, how do we help you get the easiest, quickest win? I mentioned earlier Hypnotic Business Systems. That's our learn at your own pace hypnotic business training. And yes, there's a community there if you've got questions. Yet this whole shortest path to victory is where a lot of you should be thinking. And just to put the icing on the cake of this episode, if it's not yet in the words that your client is looking for, they're not going to find you. They're not going to realize who you are. I had a quick chat with a student of ours. He's in every program we've done, and he's launching things out and just killing it right now. Yet it came around to looking at his website. It said about, it said services, and like everything was about him. You want to respectfully smack your audience in the face right away with what they're looking for. I'll wrap this up here in a moment, but the easiest example, we saved the original website because we're about to archive it. But for now, you can check out archive.virginiahypnosis.com. And to go there, ask yourself, what are my big 2 or my big 3 things? If you look at that site, the current archive of it, it's stop smoking, it's business confidence, it's hypnosis training, because that's a big part of what I do. And you have the right to call out the big 2 or 3 things. And all you ever need is a because. If you can explain how it is you can work with these different things, there's an easy way to explain how you can be the person who works with IBS issues as well as horse racing. Why not? Well, you see, stop smoking is about instant gratification. And most entrepreneurs need to train an instant gratification way of thinking because you're moving towards an eventual goal. Yet if you don't find happiness in the present moment now, you're going to get discouraged because you don't yet have your outcome. To find just as much joy as when you make the video and publish it as when you make the $6,000 sale. So really, both business confidence and quit smoking are about instant gratification. That's why those are my two specialties. And that becomes true because I suggested it. So here's your assignment. What are those things you're passionate about? What are those communities that you already have access to? And how are the ways you can explain if you have multiple specialties and how it may also apply to other things? Everyone starts in their own place, and we all can eventually move on to something else. That's how you niche to get rich. Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for subscribing to this program, sharing it with others who are on this journey of becoming rockstar hypnotists in our profession. And head over to hypnoticbusinesssystems.com. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to start from scratch. Guessing sucks. Model what has already been proven to work. And I'll wrap this up on something that may sound negative, yet it is a positive. You want to be cautious because anybody can pop up on the web these days and present a perception of expertise, and yet you then find out they might have only been full-time for about a year or so. There were videos of me on the web when the hair was thicker, when I was thicker, and you want to find something that has some proof and longevity to it. And actually, theoretically, this is not a pitch to say, hey, work with me. It's to say that if it's not someone you actually could book a session with, turn and run, whether it's hypnosis certification and training, whether it's even business training. Learn from the people who you can actually see in evidence of proof they have done the things that you want to do. And that makes me one of the few people who's actually teaching what's working right now, as opposed to what's this one thing I made work and let me try to turn that into a high-ticket offer because I want a high-ticket offer. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Because that cut deep. And instead, something that has actually stood the test of time, proven to work, and continues to grow. Check that out. Get started now, hypnoticbusinesssystems.com.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.